am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
The Los Angeles Police Department is stacked against Negroes.
The same way I'm angry, you should be angry. You should be angry.
The George Floyd protests taking place across the country are part of a long history of peaceful and violent protests against police brutality and systemic racism in American society. But at LMU and across the country, there is hope that this round of protests may finally bring about lasting change. One group that is committed to the school is Brothers of Consciousness, or BOC, an organization for Black male students at LMU. I spoke to the organization's co-presidents about their immediate reaction to Floyd's death.
In the days following George Floyd's death and the outrage surrounding it, I just felt personally lost. I didn't know how exactly I could do anything to actually support in this moment. Because I know me putting on my story to my 1,000 or so followers is nothing. It's not that many people. I'm not doing much. Making a post is not going to do much. It can show solidarity, but to, a small circle of people, which you're not changing anything on a national scale, there's still going to be another Black man or woman or non-binary lost.
But I think the worst part is that the killings to me now are disheartening. It leaves you like apathetic, like alone, lonely, and tired. And I think that's almost worse than being angry.
But within the next week, the co-presidents began to take action, setting up a fundraising campaign with the initial goal of raising $20,000. So far, they've raised $45,000 with the help of 40 on-campus organizations, and the number only keeps growing.
Did you expect to have that level of support?
When I had come up with the idea, I kind of meant it to be a whole LMU community building type thing, because I knew that would be the way to get the most out of this. But my anticipation was for about $30,000 to $40,000. We stated the original goal as 20. So we know we're still on track to possibly hit 50. But, to me, it's a success in my eyes just because we hit the initial, max possible goal that I thought was possible. But, there's still room for us to grow.
The fundraiser is unique in that it supports a number of different organizations, some more political than others. For example, the American Civil Liberties Union has recently begun endorsing a number of local politicians, and Campaign Zero supports specific pieces of legislation.
Does BOC support any specific political figure or policy?
We don't support any political figure, policy, party. That's not what we do. I think what we do support is action. But I will say, for most of us, we all want the same ends, which is an ending to police brutality, systemic racism in the justice and criminal system, in the criminal justice system. That includes privatizing of prisons. It's not just, unions for police officers. There's a lot of different things we can look at. But I will say there can be some discrepancies in the way our members and people in our community want to achieve those ends.
Yeah, BOC again is just supporting movements that help enfranchise people that have been disenfranchised. So, but also enabling everyone's voice to be heard. So I think what we're getting at is that the means to ending police brutality and systemic and systematic racism can be accomplished through different means. And at this time, we're not supporting like one specific way. We just want there to be a way.
But even if BOC doesn't affiliate itself with any political groups, it is undeniable that the George Floyd protests have serious political connotations. One new movement that is gaining popularity amongst young progressives is in favor of either defunding or abolishing the police. And these calls have been met with action from politicians. Mayor Eric Garcetti divested $150 million from the LAPD budget, and officials in Minneapolis, where Floyd was killed, have vowed to disband the police in favor of a more community-led public safety strategy. But with the presidential election coming up in less than 6 months, these requests from the leftmost wing of the Democratic Party have left presumptive nominee and former Vice President Joe Biden in a sticky situation. Alongside several Democratic and Republican figures, Biden was quick to call for justice for Floyd on social media. However, when President Trump accused Biden via Twitter of being controlled by the radical left and likely to defund the police and the military, Biden quickly responded that he was against defunding the police in an interview with The Daily Show.
You have come out in favor of police reform, but what does that actually mean? Because some people think that you cannot reform an institution that is fundamentally rotten in the core.
Well, I don't think it's rotten in the core, and I don't think all cops are bad cops. Well, I think there are a lot of changes they can take place, period, without having to defund police completely.
The former vice president is not the only one against defunding the police. New statistics show that less than 16% of Americans support this initiative. In any case, the issue of race and reform of the justice system will continue to shape the road to the election in November.
So I think that's the next step. Hopefully none of this anger and this overwhelming emotion in the nation, hopefully none of it dies down by the time November comes around. So I don't want to say next step, but it truly is. We're kind of pushing and we're having conversations with the school here soon. One of the things that we want to recommend is a school-wide November 3rd holiday. So no classes on that day. So all students, can go vote. Not have to worry about missing their classes, not worry about being late to the poll. Just go out, get voting done, day off of classes, make sure everyone's voices are heard.
Veronica BP for election 2020, Los Angeles.